afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Hollywood Balls, sponsored by TFA, the greatest football community in the world. It's a mystery Tom Thorne could probably solve, but Hollywood Balls, yes, is finally a recommended channel on YouTube. Thanks for joining us today. Let's go. Let's get this done. Forgive my time. It's for our special guest today, who we always start with our special guest. Kev, lovely to see you. George, as always, my co-host. But Mark Billingham joins us, old gold legend. Quite a bit to get through with you, Mark. It's been a while since we caught up. So first and foremost, how are you?
I'm not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, we're very good. Very good. Very good. You were saying, we talked about the doll just behind you. So if anyone's, if anyone doesn't like the doll, you might have to move that out.
I mean, I can hide him if people are really upset.
No, it's
He's
great.
great though. I have such fun with him. Sometimes if my kids piss me off, I can sneak into their rooms in the dead of night and put him at the end of their bed so they wake up screaming. It's fabulous.
Absolutely
very
funny. Brilliant. Tell us, it's a year since you've been on Hollywood Balls, and obviously you were literally on, I think it was the 4th show. I'd like to say, what have you been up to? I ask every guest. I have to ask every guest. It's much the same for everyone, but where are we? Where are we at in the Billingham's life?
Well, I guess if it was a year ago, then the book, I'd probably have had a book about to come out, which was the book ironically set during Euro 1996, during the Euros of 96. One of the set pieces in that book being the England-Scotland game during that tournament, and I'm sure we'll be getting onto that subject.
Yes.
Since then, I mean, that book came out, and obviously I wasn't able to travel around promoting it and touring, which is what I would normally do. You know, you go to festivals, you travel around, you do events. None of that. So I've been doing a lot of this, but also writing another one. So I've got another book done, which will be out next year. What am I talking about? 2 books, I think, since then. So I've got a book coming at the end of next month. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to be traveling around showing off. So I've just been writing, mate.
You say that. I mean, just for all of our crowd, and a big welcome, by the way, to our TFA family, also to Facebook Live, also to YouTube Live. But you started out as you call it a jobbing actor, but you did all right at that, didn't you?
I had some jobs. Yeah. I was a jobbing actor, and in all the usual stuff, the Bill and Crossroads and Juliet Bravo and Dempsey and Makepeace, and then I got this job in a kids comedy drama called Maid Marian and Her Merry Men, which was created by Tony Robinson. And by the end of that show, I was writing on it. So when that show finished after 5 years, I'd sort of become a TV writer. So I wrote for TV for a while, hated that, was doing stand-up at the time, then sat down one day to write a book and got lucky. And there we go, 20 odd years ago.
Fantastic.
It's such a great story. You say that as well. You talk about the stand-up. One of your famous phrases is that you don't have to be good looking. You can just stand there, and if you're funny, you're all right.
Well, it is the one element, I think, of the sort of performing arts, I guess, where it doesn't really matter what you look like. It's not like you walk into an interview for a TV job or whatever, and they instantly go too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, whatever. You can see them sizing you up. As long if you're working as a stand-up, if you can get the laughs, you get the bookings. It's pretty, there's luck involved beyond a certain level. There's luck if you want to become, a huge stadium comedian, but in terms of just working on the comedy circuit and making a living and traveling around the world, you can do that. I did plenty of gigs in Dubai, very enjoyably too. The Comedy Store used to bring people out to Dubai all the time, and so yeah, it was a fun job. I don't miss it too much. I don't miss sitting in dressing rooms at 3 o'clock in the morning and tearing up and down the motorway, but.
Going to get into the football, obviously, but to give people a background of you, you're a Wolves fan, right?
I am.
And it's It's been, well, since we last spoke. The last time we did speak, Wolves were on a huge curve. They were playing so well. It hasn't been great since we last spoke.
It went downhill after the Jimenez injury.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that everything seemed to change. It was weird. I mean, obviously he's a great player, but clearly some kind of talisman for the team as well, because we never really recovered from that terrible injury. And, you know, it did look at one point, it looked like we were really sliding down towards the relegation zone. Thankfully that never happened. But now, of course, we've lost Nuno. So, and I'm still slightly in the dark about why we've lost him. I don't know any of you guys know anything about it, but
I'm going to come to Kev with that, actually, because it's an odd one, because it's a great mix today's show, because you've got Wolves and Everton in there. It's one of my points for later on. But Kev, can you shed any light on that?
I just think things started to go a little bit stale, and you know, Mark's right, because of the Jimenez injury. Jimenez was the cutting edge, and you take a cutting edge away from any team, you're in big problems. But Jimenez used to score all the important goals for Wolves, and especially the way he led the line as a number 9. He was incredible. There was a hell of a lot of interest in Jimenez, but you know, Wolves kept him, and he was proving himself time and time again. But the moment he goes down, the young lad goes in, and they're trying to get the right blend, and they just couldn't get it. And then what happens when you don't score goals? You're in problems. And then the confidence of the team went, and it just seemed all the wind went out of their sails, and it kind of, you know, finished with a whimper. And there must have been internal issues going on. And I'm sure Nuno would have asked for some more money to try and get a striker in. And it didn't quite work out. And obviously they parted company, but it was a strange one, because he's done such a great job with some really, really good players. So it was a strange one, but I understand how it goes, because when you lose your cutting edge, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, you would have thought they would have given Nuno more time. He was a superstar as a manager, right? Last season he was fantastic. You know, a good manager doesn't become a bad one overnight, but the pressures of the game, maybe.
So, George, when you say you wish they'd given him more time, are you saying it was he was pushed rather than jumped?
Who knows? That's my perception. I don't think he would have wanted to leave. All right. I don't think his body language was such that he wanted to leave. Right.
Well, I think that's terrible. Then I really think that's terrible to take Wolves up, then 2 7th place finishes. Then to have the, you know, obviously we lose. Jota goes to Liverpool, then the Jimenez injury. Neves goes off the ball a little bit. As you say, that doesn't make Nuno any less of a great inspirational manager. So I think that's very bad. Yeah.
I would agree. I agree, but I didn't get the feeling that he wanted to leave at all. So he must have been pushed. It's like Kevin says. Probably he says, "Look, I need more funds. I need to do this." I don't know.
Okay. Shame.
It is. We'll touch on that again, but right into the beginning of the show, got to come, because I know that George, we had a wonderful show last night. It was great to catch up with you. We talked about the Euros, which is literally on our doorstep now. And you can't wait for this chat, because there's so much to talk about, so many great teams. George put me on the spot last night, which was fantastic. Mason Mount, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Kev, surely football's coming home. And I'm saying that for our Scottish friend who's watching.
Listen, we know the Jocks are going to be totally against us, so don't worry about that. You name a trio of young lads there, such great talent, who have been playing at such a high level so young. It's been incredible. Now, what we need is that talent to be able to transition into international football. That's the key. Once we can get some of that, then we're going to have a lot better chance, because playing at that age, at the levels that they are, can only put us in good stead moving forward.
Is it difficult for Southgate, though, Kev? Do you think that, you know, you've got all of these, we say Premier League clubs come first. He's got this amazing talent, and he's literally got like a tiny short window to pack them all in, see who plays best in what position. Because someone was saying to me the other day, "Oh, he's picked 4 right backs." Well, no, he's picked 4 great players. It must be a right, difficult scenario for Gareth as well.
Well, it is a dilemma, but that's what he's paid for, Pete. At the end of the day, the fans could say what they like. Yeah, there are technically four right backs, but what people have to understand is he tends to play 3 at the back with the wing back. So when you play like that, one of those, I think Kyle Walker's been deployed as an extra centre back on the right hand side. So in theory, it's you're playing or starting 2 out of the 4. So it's good. It's good sense. Reece James could play as a centre half and a right back as well. So it's good sense. So look, I don't pay too much of what the fans say regarding squads being picked because the manager knows what he's doing. That's what he's paid for.
George, over to you.
Well, I'd say this. I'd say that England is kind of embarrassed by the riches they have now as players. It's a wonderful situation. The corollary of that is that this could be make or break for Gareth Southgate. If England doesn't do well in the Euros, there's a lot of pressure on Gareth Southgate, right? Nobody can question. It wasn't that long ago that we used to say England doesn't have the talent, the players are not good enough. I think that no longer applies. They have tremendous talent now. Now the pressure's on Gareth Southgate to make that count. Get the right formation, the right tactics against each country they play. The pressure's on. I can't wait.
Could come to Mark as a fan like me. There's a strong suggestion that because of the way the world is currently and the way the Euros are going to be played, there could be that Euro 96 spirit because there's a lot of games that teams can play at home. Can you recall that old Euro 96?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously we all got caught up in the whole, football's coming home kind of hoo-ha. And whenever a big tournament comes around, we always think we can win it because the simple fact is we can. We are good enough. We've let ourselves down when it counts in the past, but we all, so you get caught up in that. But it's sort of like Kev said about the manager, who'd be a manager? Because the simple fact is that if Southgate puts his faith in these amazing youngsters, in Jude Bellingham and and Mason Mount, and they don't deliver, then he gets criticised for they weren't experienced enough, and if he doesn't. And the more experienced players don't perform, he'll get criticised for not putting the youngsters in. So he's got to really find that balance, I think. Home advantage is going to be enormous when we play those big games. And it's like George said, we can't fall back on when we don't have the talent because we clearly do. It's amazing to see Jude Bellingham there, 17 years old. So much of a legend at Birmingham that they've retired his shirt. He's 17 and they've retired his shirt. It is astonishing. Probably the most exciting kind of Birmingham player since Trevor Francis. I remember when Trevor Francis became the first £1 million footballer, and he was just a legend at Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bellingham was getting to that level. So it will be hugely exciting. Whatever happens, these big tournaments always ramp up the excitement. It would be cruel, I think, if we didn't perform and then Southgate was to. George, you're hinting that it might be make or break for Southgate, but with the World Cup so close, I think something disastrous would have to happen for him not to lead England into the World Cup.
I think he needs to. I think England need to have a good Euros. Yeah. I'm not saying they need to win it. But they have to perform well. Because if you don't perform well in the Euros, the chances are you ain't going to perform well in the World Cup.
What's good performance? Last 8, last 4?
Certainly last 8 minimum for England. Has to be minimum last 8, right? Got to be quarterfinals, I think.
Okay.
In my view.
I don't disagree. Got to say, just because it's been on Facebook, but it is actually a part on my script here. A massive shout out to Scotland because of Steve Clarke and John Carver. So I want to talk about Scotland because George and I touched on it last night. Kev, Scotland they're going to have a really good tournament, and they're going to make it difficult, and it's not going to be that easy victory that everyone thinks when England do have to play them.
No, well, look, one thing we do know is that rivalry is white hot, isn't it? It's there.
Yeah.
They've got really good players. They've got players who play in the Premier League. They've got players who play around Europe as well. Look, decent side who are going to want to prove everybody wrong. We know that. We've seen it happen previously, and they're not going to be given a chance, so to speak. But that's when they're at their most dangerous, Scotland. And nothing is a given. You've got to earn everything in football, especially at international level. And if England don't turn up and Scotland perform, they could win. I don't want it to happen. Let me tell you that. I don't want it to happen. You know me. I want to batter them. But it's gonna be a tougher game than people think.
Yeah. George said you said that last night, George.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the best Scottish teams for many, many a year. They got a nucleus of great players. The manager has them believing in themselves. They're going to make it very difficult for England. The biggest weakness Scotland have, I think, is they don't have a goal scorer, right? A regular goal scorer. That's the biggest weakness. But they got some great players. We know who they are. I think they're going to make it very difficult for England. I actually fancy a draw for that game. I think Scotland will get something out of it. I think the pressure's on.
Definitely moving swiftly on from that. I've got predictions lined up for later. We don't need that one just yet. But we did talk about last night. George put me on the spot, Kev. I was interviewed and it was great. And we talked about favourites, underdogs. That there is always an underdog. If you remember way back, Greece did that, and we chatted about that last night. It's Switzerland for me for my underdog, but Portugal are my favourites. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Portugal, any team with Cristiano Ronaldo win it, stand a chance. They have won the Euros previously, haven't they? So we know they are maybe they're not at their peak anymore, peak of their powers, but they're still a very dangerous outfit with some very good young talented players mixed in with some experience. I honestly think it's going to be a step too far for Portugal myself, but I understand what you're saying about they could sneak it. I think it's the usual suspects you've got to look at. Anybody who betters France or Spain, you really look to them to be winning it because those squads are really, really good.
Yeah.
I will say for Portugal, I think they have one of the few managers who's won the Euros twice. He was the same manager for Greece when they won it, and he was the manager for Portugal when they won it, right? So he knows how to win the competition. I think that goes in their favour clearly, but like Kevin says, I can't see much past France, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mark, have you got a favourite in there?
Yeah, I think France have got to be favourites. I mean, I think I'm right. If we win our group, touch wood. If we win our group, I think there's every chance we'll meet Portugal in the round of 16 before we even get to the quarterfinal. So, and that of course is what is so great about a tournament like this. They're all massive games. Every single game is massive. It's not like, oh well, we didn't perform against them, and don't worry, because if you don't perform, you're going home. So there are no easy routes out of those groups. Arguably, if we come runners up in our group, we've got a slightly easier running. Looking at the charts, but you can't play for that. You can't. You've just got to try and win every game and take them as they come. But yeah, France. Difficult to see past. But anything can happen. Wales beat Belgium. Anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the beautiful game.
Don't give us the kiss of death, Mark. Don't give us the kiss of death.
I'm
There
not
you
giving
go.
you the kiss of death. I'm just raising my can of iron brew to honour our Scottish.
Brilliant. I love that.
That's
I'm going to
the kiss
take a
of death, that
photo of
is.
it. Yeah.
I love it. I'm addicted to the stuff. Anyway.
George, I'm going to come to you because it's been literally as our sponsor, as the number one football community globally. Let's be right about it. It's been an amazingly busy week for you, and there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. In particularly, I was quizzing you on it last night. It just fascinates me. It's we chatted about art. Yes, Kev, believe it. Me and George chatting about art. We were talking about NFT. Yeah, I know. We were talking about NFT though, George, and it just took me back to those Panini football days.
Yeah. I remember those days like Jesus. I was 7 years old, and I remember them. Yeah. I remember at primary school chasing Mike Summerby from Man City. I never had that. How sad is that?
Well, as I said to you, I couldn't get Kevin Keegan. Kev, did you ever see yourself in the old Panini albums?
Yeah, I mean, it was good because I used to collect when I was a schoolboy, and then when you obviously make the first team, people used to send you, post wanting you to sign the stickers and stuff like that, which was always nice. Do you know what I mean? Which was always nice, but I don't think many people were really waiting for a Kevin Campbell because I think I was in quite a few of the packets, so that was all right. I was a swapsy. You could swap me.
You're a swapsy.
But Kevin, don't you?
You could swap me.
I've always wondered about this. When you're one of the players in one of these collections, be it like the Panini stickers, or I'm a bit older than you guys, so I'm remembering World Cup coins from the 70s, right? Is it better to be rare or better to be just everywhere? I mean, in the dressing room before a game, are you going, I'm in every bloody packet, look how popular I am? Or, no, but I can't even find one of me. Nobody. Is it better to be a rarity or to be everywhere, Kev? What is it?
I think it's better to be everywhere because everybody's got, you get them signed. When you're rare, it's like you're a nightmare. I can't get you. And people start asking you, do you get the stickers? Can you send me it? And people are like, oh my God, this man.
But my friends and I used to go nuts, right? Because we were convinced Panini were naughty. They deliberately printed very few of some key players, right?
Yeah.
As part of the game, right? Yeah. And when I grow up, I'm going to take them to...
Yeah, the gold foil, the foil badges.
I'll tell you, when I grow up, I'm going to take him to court and sue the pants off of them. It drove me nuts, right? But it was clearly deliberate. And you haven't got that player, nor have I. It would be only one player or one or two, right?
Yeah,
that was horrible. It was torture. I still have nightmares now.
So
God, I need help. Therapy. Help.
My question, George, is this: can we do? In our community, can we get our own Panini NFTs going?
Absolutely. We've got, look, Kevin knows this very well, right? NFTs is just gobbledygook for, in the crypto world, you can have your own artwork and it's associated with a particular location on that term blockchain, and it's yours forever. And you can sell it and buy it back, and you can keep trading it. We can absolutely Panini stickers. There's one club locally here that wants to do it straight away. They've got their Panini stickers from 1973. 72, wow. I think. And they want to do it, right? So absolutely can be done. All within the football app, plug. But it's a lot of fun, and it's, just a lot of fun.
Got to ask Mark straight away then, who's your ultimate Panini sticker going to be?
I gave up after World Cup coins. After the SO World Cup coins.
SO, in a big blue. SO. They were in a blue, yeah.
Oh, they were brilliant because you could put them in. They were quite solid things in a way that Panini stickers never quite were. But also, I never got past what George has just been articulating: the massive disappointment. The massive disappointment at never being able to find a Peter Bonetti or whoever was the player that none of your mates had. You're in the playground going, "Well, have you got no? Have you?
Yeah.
And it just felt so unfair. I don't think I ever completed my SO World Cup collection. And from that point on, it was, well, I'm not going down the Panini route. That way, right.
Listen, I think Panini has caused so many mental health issues in the UK because of this, right? I mean, look at me, right? I mean, and there's lots of me like that. I'm telling you, it's terrible. They should do a panorama on them.
All the guys are in. Everyone's messaging. I'm getting hammered as per usual for the code. Of course, literally. For those of you, George is going to tell me off. I know. There's code 1, and there's code 2. So you've had both of them. Back on, Mark. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Wolves. As I said at the start of the show, it's been a bit of an up and down, and as you quite rightly said, but I was reading about Wolves this week, and funnily enough, I was researching you and Wolves, all the news that was going in. The greatest story I had was, in all the Wolves stories were new managers, blah, 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 and there's a massive link with Everton, so that's why I've got you and Kev on the same show. But the best one I had was President Biden weighs in on Wolves, and I was like, "Whoa, what? Really?" It was grey Wolves, as it happened. It was not about the football, but it was. It's about Bruno Lage. They think he will really make a difference. It's that Portuguese factor again. What do you think as a Wolves fan? I mean, they're your team.
Well, it's so high. I'm always amazed at the way fans, they worship someone in a way they worship Nuno, and then he's gone, and there's nothing they can do about it. But they're very quick to start immediately going, right, well, this guy's going to do this and this guy. I'm still mourning the loss of Nuno Espirito Santo. I'm sorry, I really am. He turned. Yeah. He absolutely turned the team I love round in a way that no manager has done for an awfully long time. And you say an up and down season. It's always been up and down with Wolves. They're one of those teams. When I started following, and I shouldn't have been. I should be a Blues fan like the rest of my family. I'm from Birmingham. I should be a Blues fan. But because Wolves were the first team I was taken to see, because my mum's boyfriend at the time happened to be a Wolves fan and had a season ticket. So Molineux was the first place I went. And this was the golden age. This was a team that had, Derek Dougan and Peter Knowles. And Peter Knowles,
Derek
God's
Dougan.
footballer, one of the great untold Wolves stories, Peter Knowles. And Derek Dougan and Dave Wagstaff. And then, of course, later on, Dave Wagstaff, the greatest player never to play for England. Anyway, and then later on you get Steve Bull, but of course Steve Bull, who was an absolute god, was never really part of a brilliant team. He was playing for England.
Tipton boy, was he, Mark?
Huh?
He was a Tipton boy, was he?
He played for Albion first, I think I'm right in saying. Came from Albion. And not too many Albion players go on to become Wolves legends.
True.
But, and it's weird, Kev, we were, just before we came on, we were talking about that rivalry with West Brom. And you know what? Personally, I'm fellow Wolves fans will think this is heresy, but I'm slightly disappointed Albion have gone down. I know that if I asked 10 Wolves fans, what would you rather happen? Would you rather Wolves win the Premiership or Albion get relegated? The majority of them would say Albion get relegated, which is, that ridiculous rivalry thing. It's better that they do badly than we do well. I don't necessarily feel that, because I'll miss Wolves playing Albion. I'll miss at least one season.
The derby games.
It's good.
Sorry, I was just going to say, people always talk about Spurs, Arsenal, and they always talk about Man United, Man City. You don't know rivalry till you've been to a Wolves Albion game.
But Mark, it's also great for the geography for the Midlands, right?
Absolutely.
If Wolves, Birmingham, West Brom are all up there, right? And that's
Villa.
The difficulty. I mean,
and the Villa, obviously.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But that's what rivalry. They can't see beyond that. I mean, it's like, you really want West Brom to go down. Yeah, we celebrate, but it's a great game to look forward to, right? If you're a Wolves fan or West Brom fan, right? It's great for the area. It's vibrant, and it's part of the community. I think.
I just sound like such a grumpy old far, but when I first started watching football, so much of what was the old Division 1 then was dominated by Midlands teams. They were all there.
Yeah.
They were all there. Not just Birmingham and Albion and Wolves and Villa, but Derby County and, well, obviously Leicester City is still there, but, and Nottingham Forest. The Midlands was really well represented, and it just isn't anymore,
Yeah. I seem to remember Terry Hibbett was a great player in his day as well, right?
Terry Hibbett and Kenny Hibbett was the Wolves player.
Kenny Hibbett, sorry.
Who was just brilliant.
He had a great right foot, I thought, right? Great right foot.
There were some great players in that Wolves team, and of course, for anybody, I mentioned Peter Knowles, but anybody who doesn't know Peter Knowles, who was this supremely gifted footballer, who I think had he been capped for England, maybe he'd just been capped for England, or he'd certainly played under 21s and all that. Really, the next big thing. And Wolves went on a tour to America, kind of pre-season tour to America, and he became completely sucked into the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, became a Jehovah's Witness, and gave it up. Gave up being a professional footballer and became a Jehovah's Witness. And Billy Bragg wrote a song about him called God's Footballer. It's amazing.
He did.
Amazing story. Brother of Cyril Knowles, of course. That's a nice one, Cyril.
That's right. That's right. And Peter Knowles, in his time, he had enormous flair, which was almost uncommon at that level, and a very talented player. Yeah. And Cyril's brother. We used to love Cyril. May he rest in peace. Yeah.
Kev, I'm going to come to you with new managers. Down with Goodison Park. I mean, what a week. I'm looking here now on the Roland News. There's everything from Stevie G, Rafa. I've even heard Marco Silva returning to Everton. But it's not surprising. It's not surprising at such a huge club, is it, that you're going to have all of that sort of speculation and so on.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of speculation. Look, it just depends which way the board want to go. I mean, when you look, Duncan's been under Carlo. He done a great job before Carlo came in.
I'd love to see Duncan in charge. Love it.
And that may not be a bad shout, but then you look at, you need the experience. You need someone like a Carlo. Antonio Conte's still out there. Obviously, Spurs have been talking to him as well. Someone like that is going to be coveted by great heights. But one thing you do know, his resume speaks for itself. He gets teams playing. He gets teams playing the right way. And he gets teams playing aggressively, which is, I'm sure, what the Evertonians want. Duncan done that as well. And everyone in between had adherence. Everyone in between don't have the resume that Antonio Conte has. So it just depends on what the board want. I don't know what they want at the moment, Pete. So from Conte to Big Dunk to anyone else, it could go anywhere, but I don't think Marco Silva's coming back. I can tell you that.
No, I heard that. I thought it was a strange one, but I'm going to put you on as Super Kevin Campbell. I'm going to put you on the spot because I love to. As a fan, and I know how much you love the Blues. Have you got an ideal manager that can take over?
Yeah, Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte is for me the ideal manager for Everton.
Okay.
The problem is, will he go?
And he's been obviously talking to our George's team as well. That's not happening, George, by the looks of it.
No, listen. No, it's not happening. Most Spurs fans are deducting from that Antonio Conte is more ambitious than Daniel Levy. I think there's a lot to be said for that. We're sick of it. A quick shout out about Everton, though. I'd love Big Dunk to get the chance. I think he deserves it. But
I do.
But aren't people disappointed in Ancelotti? I know it's football. I know things change. I know it's Real Madrid, but he had a contract with Everton, for God's sakes, and he was steering it and changing it. And he gets up and leave. I find that very disappointing. Ancelotti, I know it's Real Madrid, but he's been there before. I just think that's terrible. I feel bad for the Everton fans. They've been disregarded. They've been dissed by Ancelotti. I think that's terrible.
I've got three of you here. I've got Super Kev, George, and Mark. So I've got Wolves, Everton, Spurs. I can offer you Steve Bruce if you want. Manager of the month last month, did really well. I know
Well,
Kev
Pete,
tells me to get him a 10-year contract.
He's getting a new 5-year contract, mate. Look,
There you go. There it is. There it is.
He's been unbelievable at the last knockings of the season. When he's
He
got all
has.
his weapons back, he's been brilliant. And, you know, obviously he's going to cover Willock. 6-year deal, Pete. 6-year deal.
I will say this, Kev. I will say this. I will literally stick up and say yes. Kev Campbell said all the way through the season, when you miss 3 players of that size to your squad, literally your first 11, it's going to hurt you. It did. We were right down there. They came back, but they had to play, and Brucey got them to play. So we'll move on from that. Straight into Hollywood Baller of the Week, and it's going to be Steve Bruce, isn't it, Kev? You're going first.
Am I going first? All right.
Yes, you are. Hollywood Baller. Who's your hero of the week?
My hero of the week is a really impressive young man. Few names were mentioned previously, but his name wasn't on there. I've got to go for Bukayo Saka. Scored his first goal for England in the win against Austria. And he's one player of the season for Arsenal, and he's only 19 years old.
George has got his fingers in his ears.
No, I had the same one. I had the same.
Oh, really?
I thought I was on mute for a minute there. No, he's been incredible. He has been incredible for Arsenal. And you know what? He has carried Arsenal most of this season at 19.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I had the same. You know, great performance, player of the year at Arsenal. He looks 12, not 19. He's such a young team player, right? Have you noticed that? It's like an under 12 guy playing in the under 19s, you know. So I'm stumped. I had him too. I know he's an Arsenal player, right? So I'm a good guy, right, Kev?
Of course, George. George, class, mate. You're top class. You are.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking my phone because George's mum's going to be on. She's going to be raging if he's anything to do with Arsenal. Mark, have you got a hero, a baller of the week for us in the world of football?
Two very quick ones, but both as a result of the game against Austria. Firstly, Southgate for having a go at the people that booed during the taking of the knee. You know, Southgate was very quick to, even though people in the ground went, you know, screw you, and the applause eventually drowned the boos out. The fact there's anybody booing that is ridiculous, and the fact that Southgate got stuck into them made him a bit of a hero. The other one is not. It's difficult to call somebody a hero when they've just been injured, but Trent Alexander-Armstrong, you've got to feel so bad for him. You've got to feel so bad for any player who to miss out on when they're that close, you know, when they're just a week away. I'm not sure how much of a part he'd have played. You don't know what he'd have done or what he'd not have done, but the fact that he's simply not going to be on the plane over there because of that injury, you got to feel really bad for him.
Yeah, particularly with the recent history of will Southgate pick him, won't he? And he made it, and now he gets injured. That's heartbreaking, isn't it, Mark? Heartbreaking.
Totally.
And he knew. There's a shot of him going, it's gone, and you just it's awful.
And also, there was also that speculation about would he take him, wouldn't he take him? He was going to take him, and now the young man can't play. Devastation. Okay, it's predictions time. George, I have to say, you were the star of last weekend. You got a draw with our Kev and Anders. You all finished level on your points. Not that I'm saying that you were all really poor. I'm just saying you all finished level. It was a tough one. It was a tough one.
Just
I gave you.
Hey, it's all right.
Yeah, and Pete, hats off to you. You called Chelsea City. Kevin,
I did. I'm still waiting for that WhatsApp from Kev, but maybe it's stuck on my internet.
Oh, did you not get it, Pete?
No, I didn't. No.
All right, yeah, because it was never said. That's why I tell you.
It's brilliant. I love this. Mark, just welcome into the madhouse of. We started this.
Yeah,
it's amazing. We get our people to basically they do it in our community. They can predict a game. A game every day from around the world, George. Right? Literally, I can spend 25 minutes every morning on the app doing all my predictions. As does my mum, as does my dad. And mum saying to me yesterday, "Oh, what do you reckon about so and so?" And I'm like, "What? I've never even heard of the teams." So it's so global. It's amazing. But what we do is we pick 5 of those, Mark, and you're on the spot today as well. Up against Kev. This is where Kev gets ridiculous. He gets really
I get competitive
about it.
Competitive,
yeah,
of course he
competitive.
does.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
So,
well, hang on. Having not done this before, can I just get have I got to actually predict the score, or is it good enough to just go, they're going to win? Oh my God!
No, you've got to predict the score.
Mark, you've got to predict the score, the times of the goals, the times of the cards.
Okay, Kevin, I promised you bonus points from last week when I missed you out, and I checked back on the video. You said 7th minute. It wasn't, so I can't give you those extra points that I had promised you. So I do apologise, and I apologise again. I couldn't believe I missed you out. So, but we are going with guest first. Predictions. It's international friendlies. Obviously, we're just around the corner from the Euros. Mark, we're going up first with Wales against Albania.
2-0 Wales.
2-0 to Wales. George?
I have 2-0 to Wales.
And Kev, clean sweep?
2-1 Wales.
Okay, Albania score. England, Romania, Mark?
Oh, we've got to twonk Albania, haven't we? We've got to twonk Romania. We've got to twonk them and get into the tournament with a bit of. We're going to score 3. We're going to let in a silly one. 3-1.
3-1. Okay, George.
I've gone crazy. I've gone
12-0.
I'm going to put them 4-0. 4-0. 4. Just the 4. 4-0.
Super, Kev.
I've gone the same as Mark. To be honest, I've gone 3-1.
Okay.
3-1 England. Yeah.
Also, next up, we've got this looks like, but it's a big test for Scotland because everyone's saying that they are coming on and they're playing great, but they need to go into the tournament with a really good result. So they've got Luxembourg, Mark.
Yeah, they're gonna stick a couple past Luxembourg. 2-0 Scotland.
Okay, 2-0. George?
I have 2-0 Scotland.
Super Kev?
I'm going Scotland. Luxembourg 1, Scotland 4. I'm going nuts.
Okay. You've gone nuts.
Scotland.
I never ever have a prediction, but my Facebook messages today mean that I'm predicting, and I'm going Luxembourg 2, Scotland 0.
Oh, come on!
just for that message alone.
Do you like hate, man? Are you just going? Come on, bring it on.
He knows.
I'll get my Scottish friends to come and see you.
He knows who it is. He's got his iron brew up. Great. Next one up. Another great game. Netherlands, Georgia.
Oh, I mean, normally you'd go Netherlands all day long, but I don't know. Do you know what? I'm going to go mental and say that's going to be 1-1 draw.
Okay, George, to you.
2-1 to the Netherlands.
Great. Super Kev.
I'm going to go 3-1 Holland.
Okay. And arguably for me, the friendly of the weekend is Belgium-Croatia. I think it's a fantastic game in the reckoning. Mark, Belgium-Croatia, how do you see that one panning out?
It's a goal fest. 3-3.
Wow.
We'll get Mark on every week for this, by the week. We'll get him on every week. Unless he beats you, Kev.
If he beats me, don't bring him back.
George, sorry, you're up next. What you got for us?
I've got Belgium edging it 2-1.
Okay, and Super Kev?
I'm going for 3-0 Belgium.
3-0. Okay. We'll make a note of those. I've got a fancy for Mark in this. I think he's got some decent scores in there.
Except the last one, except the Belgium-Croatia one. I've got that seriously wrong. It's going to be the dullest 0-0 game you've ever seen.
After all that.
For the draw, Mark.
Yeah, at least it's a draw.
Mark, I've got to ask you, book-wise, what can I expect? You know, I'm always on your case, texting you. When's Tom Thorne? When can I see him? What am I getting? What's on your agenda this week?
What you're getting next is a standalone book. It's not a sort of series novel. So Thorne's not in it. There's no Spurs and Arsenal talk in the book because Thorne's not in it. Well, he makes a cameo appearance as he does in all the standalone.
Oh, does he?
But not for long enough to get stuck into it about Spurs Arsenal.
Listen.
But so that's a standalone book called Rabbit Hole, which comes out in July. But the next book is finished, which is Tom Thorne, and that'll be out next year.
Brilliant! Literally can't wait for that. Absolute bestseller.
I just love that Tom's a Spurs fan.
Do you know? I don't know whether I told this story last time I was on, but you know that Spurs got in touch with me. This is going back.
Oh, really?
This is going back. Yeah. This is going back 10 years after the book's been going about 10 years to go. Oh, listen, this is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Whatever they're called, media liaison department or wherever they are. We gather you're a Spurs fan, and I went. No. I'm actually a Wolves fan. It's my detective that is a Spurs fan. I went, that's all right, doesn't matter. Come on. And I got this VIP visit to Spurs, going around all the changing rooms, sitting in all the seats. They gave me a Spurs shirt with Thorne on the back. I got all my mates who were proper Spurs fans were spitting blood. They're going, it's great. But no, I got absolutely treated like royalty by Spurs, which is lovely.
And that's why Super Kev's never read one of the books.
I'm sorry, Kev.
Hey, no, Mark, I'll be honest with you. I believe you're a great writer, but unfortunately, I ain't buying one of your books. So.
You would, even if it was from a charity shop, Kev.
I would listen. I would give the money and tell them to keep the book.
All right. Okay, here's a scenario. What about, sometimes when you go on holiday and you're in one of those, there's villas and things around and people leave the books they read last time they were there. If one of them was mine, would you still leave it where it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I think we know where you stand on
that. Now I know. Imagine me reading the book. I didn't know about the book. And then all of a sudden I find out I'll just drop it right away. It'd be like a hot potato.
Kev, you need to think about that.
And you know what? I've got to end this. I've got to end this with. I had literally no idea, and I did say to Kev literally this morning. At least we don't have any Spurs book references, and here we are yet again. Kev's going to kill me. He's going to absolutely kill me after this show.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Mark, it's been absolute pleasure.
Thanks
we'd love you back on.
Great fun, mate. Great fun. Thank you.
It's been absolutely brilliant. If you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. Super Kev, you'll be back next week. I literally don't have time to say where you're going because you're so busy. George, we'll be chatting to you again in the week. Literally can't believe there's another Spurs book reference in there. From the Mark Billingham Show, this is Geordie Pete signing out. Thank you so much.